cafes full of voices and the neon's bright. 1,000 promises made under the light. I'll be there forever, I'm your solid ground. But empty echoes are the only sound. They talk about the mountains, they talk about the deep. Promises are secrets that they never mean to keep. It's a cheap kind of silver, a thin kind of gold. A story that's been bought and a story that's been sold. It's a quiet vibration, a shift in the air, looking for the substance that isn't quite there. The air is getting crowded with a hollow hum, waiting for the day when the shadows finally come. Words are easy, baby, just like the wind, blowing through the places where we might have been. But faithful friends are hard to find, don't you know? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz funk flow, yeah, the wind is everywhere, but the heart is rare, finding someone real in the middle of the glare. When the party's over and the wine is gone, when you're facing down the cold and the lonely dawn, the fair weather lovers leave a quiet room like a faded flower that forgot to bloom. But a real one stays when the music gets low and the lights are dim and the spirit's slow. They don't need the poetry, they don't need the prose, they're the steady heartbeat that everyone knows. You know, everyone's got a silver tongue when the sun is out. Talk is cheap, it's free, it's light as a feather. But loyalty has weight, loyalty has cost. It's not the one who says they'll catch you, it's the one who's already there. Don't listen to the breeze, watch the feet, stay true. Words are easy, baby, just like the wind, blowing through the places where we might have been. But faithful friends are hard to find, don't you know? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz funk flow, just like the wind, just like the wind. In this lo-fi space, we find the few, the ones who stay steady and the ones who stay true. Check your circle, baby, let it roll. Easy like the wind, but you're my solid ground.
A slap bass pops beneath the cafe marmalade. The philosopher orders wine and leans across the table. He doesn't have the answers, but he knows how to create a question sharp enough to cut through every fable. The ones with with all the answers tend to close the door, sealing off the world behind a confident wall. But the one who asks the question cracks the floor, lets the light fall through the narrow hall. I've met the men who speak in declarations, pronouncing truths that shimmer hard and bright. But give me the one drowning in good questions, who sits with the uncertainty all night. Judge a man by what he asks, not what he claims, not the trophies on his shelf or the titles to his names. The question is the window, the answer is the wall. Questions keep you moving, answers make you stall. Ask me something real, ask me something deep, ask me what I'm losing, what I'm trying to keep. Judge me by the questions burning in my chest. That's the only kind of judgment I'll suggest. Voltaire sharpened questions like a fencer's blade, aimed at kings and clergy and the smug elite. He didn't need their answers, the asking was the trade. He laid the complacent world down at his feet. The funk is in the inquiry, the groove's inside the search, not in the destination, but the way you lean and ask. The baseline has no resolution, just a lurch toward the next question, the next unfinished task. Judge a man by what he asks, not what he claims, not the trophies on his shelf or the titles to his names. The question is the window, the answer is the wall. Questions keep you moving, answers make you stall. Ask me something real, ask me something deep, ask me what I'm losing, what I'm trying to keep. Judge me by the questions burning in my chest. That's the only kind of judgment I'll suggest. The saxophone spirals upward on an unresolved note, leaving the listener leaning into wonder. That unfinished phrase inside your throat, that's not failure, that's the mind refusing to surrender. The greatest minds were great because they asked. Before they answered, they questioned what was masked. My daughter asked me why the sky goes dark at noon during the eclipse, and I had no clean reply. We sat together under that consumed moon, and the not knowing made us feel more alive. What do you want? What breaks your sleep at 3? What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? Questions judgment, I'll suggest. Cafe empties out, the candles burn to black. Voltaire would leave a question, never looking back. Not because he didn't know, because he knew the score. A good question opens 10,000 more. The sun goes down, the lights come up, pouring the nectar in a porcelain cup. The cities are set, the streets are the aisles. We're walking for miles with rehearsed little smiles. Powder the face and straighten the tie, under the purple of a jazz funk sky. The script is written in the steam of the street, and we're just moving to a preset beat. It's a quiet vibration, a cue in the air, waiting for the spotlight to find us right there. We memorize lines we didn't even write, in the hazy glow of the midsummer night. All the world's a stage, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi drama, in this melody, and all the men and women merely players in the light, catching their cues in the middle of the night. Yeah, exits and entrances, a funky kind of flow. We're just here for the duration of the show. First act's a whisper, the last is a sigh, watching the scenery just passing us by. One day you're the hero, the next you're the fool, trying to remember the theater school rule. We change our costumes, we change our names, playing these sophisticated soulful games. But the mask is heavy and the paint is thin, looking for the person that lives deep within. You know, it's all about the timing, the entrance, the exit, the 7 acts we play before the curtain falls. Are you playing the part, or is the part playing you? Don't get too caught up in the applause. It's just a role. The stage stays, but the players always move on. Make your scene count, baby. That's the groove. All the world's a stage, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi drama, in this melody, and all the men and women merely players in the light, catching their cues in the middle of the night. In this lo-fi space we find a place, watching the actors just fade away. Follow the script, baby,
exits and entrances. That's the show.
Skipped a beat on the record tonight. A little off center, a little less than right. We all hit a blue note, we all lose the pace. Tripping on the shadows in this neon place. It's human to stumble, it's human to fall. To write the wrong answer on the bathroom wall. But the silence is heavy when you know what you've done. Hiding the damage from the morning sun. It's a quiet vibration, a glitch in the soul, a jagged little edge on a perfect bow. You can look the other way, you can pretend it's fine, but you're just staying lost on a crooked line. A man who makes a mistake and leaves it there is breathing in a colder, heavier air. If you don't correct it, baby, don't you see? You're committing another one, essentially. Yeah, the first was a slip, the second's a choice. The double fall in a quiet voice, and there's a lo-fi rhythm, the truth is free. Fix the melody, set your spirit free. Pride is a coat that's a little too tight, keeping you frozen in the middle of the light. You call it a feature, you call it the plan, but you're just a ghost of a bigger man. The error is a teacher, the correction is the key to the person that you're supposed to be. Wash off the ink, rewrite the page before the little lie becomes a heavy cage. You know, making a mistake, that's just being alive. It's the friction that makes the fire, but seeing the crack and walking away, thinking it'll just disappear if you close your eyes. That's the real tragedy. That's the second mistake, the one that stays, the one that defines you. Just pick up the pen, start again.
Everybody's climbing, looking for the peak, searching for a mountain, the power that they seek. They want the highest tower, they want the golden crown, but they forget the rhythm of the way the rain comes down. The ego wants the summit, the ego wants the sun, but that's a lonely race that can never quite be won. Because the peaks are brittle, the peaks are always dry. Watching all the life and the spirit passing by. It's a quiet vibration, a pull in the bone, finding a wisdom that is purely its own. It doesn't fight the mountain, it doesn't fight the stone. It finds the little hollow where the moss is always grown. Water flows to the lowest place, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz funk degree, that is the source of its great strength, making it real. The power of the yielding and the way that you feel. Yeah, the gravity of grace, the wisdom of the deep, gathering the secrets that the high places can't keep. Flowing low, where the power starts to grow. The valley is a basin, the valley is a heart, where the tiny little trickles find a place to start. By seeking out the bottom, by seeking out the floor, it turns into a river, it turns into a roar. Softness is a weapon that can wear away the rock. It doesn't need a hammer, it doesn't need a shock. It just stays humble, it just stays down, until it wears the majesty of the ocean like a gown. You know, we're all taught that up is the only direction. Up the ladder, up the hill. But look at the water. It doesn't struggle to rise. It embraces the low ground. And because it goes where no one else wants to be, it becomes the most powerful thing on earth. The ocean isn't at the top of the world, it's at the bottom. And everything eventually finds its way there. Stay low, stay strong. There's a lo-fi rhythm in this jazz funk degree, that is the source of its great strength, making it real. The power of the yielding and the way that you feel. In this lo-fi space, we find the deep, a quiet kind of power that the spirit's gonna keep. Seek the valley, baby, let it roll. Flowing low, that's the source. Flowing low. That's the source. straight line to the sun. A perfect record where the grooves just run. No scratches on the surface, no hiss in the air. Just a long sweet melody we'd always share. But the needle skipped a beat in the middle of the night. The shadows started dancing with the candlelight. We're tripping on the carpet, we're missing the cue. In this smoky little room, just me and you. It's a heavy vibration, a shift in the tone, a feeling that we've never ever really known. The harmony is jagged, the rhythm is tight, trying to find the music in a losing fight. The course of true love, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz degree, it never did run smooth, it never was a breeze. It's the friction in the soul that brings us to our knees. Yeah, a bumpy road, a syncopated heart, that's how you know it's real right from the start. Static on the wire, honey, salt in the kiss. We didn't plan for a moment like this. Arguments at midnight, silence in the dawn, watching all the easy vibrations begun. But a diamond needs the pressure, a diamond needs the heat. The most beautiful song has an offbeat. If it was all sunshine, if it was all gold, it'd be a story that's already been told. You know, people want that polished Hollywood kind of love. No bumps, no static, no noise. But that's not where the soul lives. The soul lives in the scratches. And I'm sorry, and let's try again. Shakespeare was right. If it's smooth, it's probably not moving. The jaggedness, that's the proof, that's the groove. The course of true love, baby, don't you see? And there's a lo-fi rhythm in this jazz degree. It never did run smooth, it never was a breeze. It's the friction in the soul that brings us to our knees. Never did run smooth. In this lo-fi space, we find the flow. Through the highs and the jagged little lows, stay in the rhythm, baby, let it roll. Never did run smooth, but it's all music. Wandering through the library of a midnight mind, chasing down the shadows of the secrets I might find. 1,000 scattered puzzles, a million whys in line, tangled in the static, waiting for a sign. The world is full of echoes, noisy and abstract. I'm looking for the rhythm beneath the simple fact, searching for the pattern, the ghost inside the machine, the invisible architecture of everything between. It's a quiet vibration, a gear starting to hum, waiting for the aha moment to finally come. Beyond the observation, beyond the dusty page, a bird of gold is waiting to break out of the cage. Oh, the greatest delight of the mind, baby, in this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz degree, is to understand, to finally see it clear, watching all the clouds of doubt just disappear. Yeah, a funky kind of logic, a soulful kind of light, the greatest delight is knowing it's right. It's not about the power and it's not about the gold. It's the story of the universe finally being told. When the bridges start to build, when the dots begin to join, better than the silver and the glitter of the coin. The beauty of the how, the magic of the where, finding all the symmetry that was always there. Like a perfect jazz improv on a rainy afternoon, everything is suddenly beautifully in tune. You know, Leonardo once said that understanding is the most beautiful thing we can possess. It's the spark that turns a house into a home. It's the moment the noise becomes music. Don't just look at the stars. Understand the distance. That's where the delight lives. In the now I see. To finally see it clear, watching all the clouds of doubt just disappear. In this lo-fi space, we find the why, looking at the world with the wide open eye. Keep the light burning, baby, let it roll. Delight is to understand finally. The world is a riddle in a dusty frame, 1,000 questions without a name. I've been wandering through the hazy lines, searching for the patterns and the hidden signs. A mountain of data, a river of why, underneath the purple of a jazz funk sky. It's a restless feeling, a static in the soul, trying to find the pieces that'll make us whole. It's a quiet vibration, a gear starting to turn, beyond the cold pages and the lessons we learn. It's the click in the darkness, the shift in the air, finding the logic that was always right there. Oh, the greatest delight of the mind, baby, in this lo-fi rhythm, in this just disappear like a perfect chord on a rainy day. The chaos and the clutter just fade away. One moment of clarity, one beautiful yes is the only way to heal the heavy restlessness. You know, Leonardo once said that the mind's greatest joy isn't in the owning, it's not in the winning, it's in the knowing. That moment when the puzzle pieces finally meet, when the how and the why shake hands. It's better than gold, it's better than honey. It's the light turning on in a dark room, the delight of understanding. The shadows stretch across the wooden floor. I'm putting down the keys beside the door. My hands are tired, but my spirit's light. I gave the world my best before the night. The work was steady and the heart was true. Watching the morning gold turn into blue. There's a quiet humming in the evening air, the kind of peace that follows honest care. It's a heavy vibration, a sweet release, finding the center of a perfect peace. When you give the hours all you have to give, that's the only way a soul is meant to live. A well-spent day brings a happy sleep, with promises and memories you get to keep. And so a life well spent, baby, don't you see, brings a happy death, a final harmony. Yeah, soulful rest at the end of the line. The rhythm was good and the stars aligned. It's not the years, it's the way they're played, the kindness shared and the music made. Don't fear the sunset or the fading light, if you dance with purpose through the morning bright. Every wrinkle is a story, every gray is a win, a life lived outward from the light within, like a classic record spinning to the end. The silence at the finish is a faithful friend. You know, we spend so much time running from the dark, trying to hold on onto the noonday sun. But sleep is a reward for the weary. It's the gift at the end of a long, beautiful day. And life is just a bigger version of that. If you poured your heart into the masterpiece, then when the curtain falls, you don't mind the quiet. You just close your eyes and smile at the work you left behind. Good night, world. The moon is caught in a telephone wire between the frozen ground and the center of the fire. I'm sitting at the crossroads of a velvet night, watching the shadows dance in the flickering light. Is it better to endure the static and the stings, or to cut the cord and let go of all these things? A quiet oscillation in the back of the mind, looking for a peace that's getting harder to find. It's a heavy vibration, a shift in the air between the I'm here and the I'm not there. The pendulum swings on a funky little beat while I'm looking for the rhythm of the city street. To be or not to be, baby, that is the question. In this lo-fi groove, in this jazzy congestion, to stand in the light or to fade into the blue, to keep the vibration or to start something new. Yeah, the ultimate riddle, the ultimate why, underneath the purple of a jazz funk sky. The slings and arrows are just notes on a page. We're all just players on a smoky little stage. Do we carry the weight of the sea and the stone, or do we step out into the great unknown? It's the shuffling off in a syncopated way, the pause in the middle of a rainy day, the sleep and the dream and the trouble it brings, the secret vibration of a million things. You know, it's the hesitation, the space between the yes and the no. Is it nobler to suffer the noise, or to take arms against a sea of troubles? By just letting go. That's the groove. That's the mystery. The choice to exist in every single beat. I built a fire to keep the shadows small. I painted sunlight on every single wall. I gave you the bread, I gave you the wine, watching you grow on a silver vine. But the seasons turned and the heart went gray. You took the light and you walked away. Now the halls are empty, the air is thin, and I'm feeling the winter creeping in. It's a quiet vibration, a sting in the bone, standing in the kitchen feeling all alone. The hand I held is a closed up fist, vanishing into the morning mist. How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is, baby. And there's a lo-fi rhythm in this jazz tragedy. To have a thankless child, cold as the sea, stinging the heart that was meant to be free. Yeah, a jagged little edge, a bitter kind of truth, sharper, baby, than a serpent's tooth. Gratitude is a winter wind blowing through the places where we used to begin. I gave you the world, you gave me the door, left me standing on a hollow floor. No thank you in the pocket, no love in the eye, just a cold hello as you're passing me by. It ain't about the money, it ain't about the gold, it's the story of a heart that's grown suddenly old. You know, you spend 20 years building a person. You pour your soul into the foundation. You think you're building a home, but then they look at you and you realize you were just building a monument to their ego. No warmth, no echo, just that sharp, biting sting. It's There's a strange kind of poison when the one you love the most is the one who draws the blood. How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is, baby. In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz tragedy, to have a thankless child cold as the sea, stinging the heart that was meant to be free. In this lo-fi space, we feel the bite in the middle of a lonely, jazzy night. Let the cold wind blow, baby. Let it roll. How sharper than a serpent's tooth. I built a fire than a serpent's tooth. They're adding layers to the mountaintop, heavy colors that'll never stop. Too much tinsel, too much gold, buying the story that's already been sold. But look at the line, look at the space, the quiet elegance of a clean-cut face. You don't need the noise, you don't need the glare to prove to the world that you're actually there. It's a subtle shift in the vibration, a quiet kind of celebration. Strip away the clutter, strip away the pride, find the beautiful rhythm that's waiting inside. Simplicity, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz degree, it's the ultimate sophistication, the real design, where the heart and the logic finally align. Yeah, less is the treasure, less is the key. The ultimate simple is setting you free. It's the single note that hangs in the air, better than a symphony that goes nowhere. It's the white canvas, the open room, letting the essence finally bloom. Don't complicate the feeling, don't tangle the wire. You don't need a forest to start a little fire, just a steady pulse and a clear blue view. That's the most sophisticated thing you can do. You know, anybody can be complicated. That's easy. You just keep adding things until the truth is buried. But to be simple, that takes work. That takes a sharp eye and a brave heart to leave the space empty. Because, you know, the essence is enough. That's the masterpiece. That's the groove. Simplicity, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz degree, it's the ultimate sophistication, the the ultimate sophistication.
A dusty upright piano in the corner of the room, flugelhorn breathing low beneath the haze. No one's watching as the notes dissolve the gloom. Genius plays for targets no one else can raise. The archer in the crowd can split the arrow in the ring. The crowd applauds, impressive, clean, precise. But there's a man beyond the field pursuing something, aiming at a vision no one else can recognize. Talent is the mastery of what the eye can measure, perfecting form within the rules of play. But genius bends the canvas, excavates a treasure in a world that doesn't yet exist today. Talent hits the target in the light. Genius sees a different kind of sight. The crowd can see the arrow or the mark. Genius shoots its arrows in the dark. It's the target no one else can see. A bullseye in the space of what will be. Different frequency, different song. Genius hits the target all along. Late night studio, the engineer has gone to sleep. The musician stays and plays a different tune. Not for the charts, for something buried deep. A sound aimed at the far side of the moon. Schopenhauer sat and watched the wheel in motion. Artist reaching past the world of form. He saw beneath the surface of the ocean hidden targets buried in the storm. Talent hits the target in the light. Genius sees a different kind of sight. The crowd can't see the arrow or the mark. Genius shoots its arrows in the dark. Hits the target no one else can see. A bullseye in the space of what will be. Different frequency, different song. Genius hits the target all along. Funky groove beneath a minor revelation. Every riff a reach toward the invisible. Most will call it strange, eccentric, or sensation. But genius always finds the permissible. The unseen target waits beyond the curtain for the one who looks where no one else is certain. So here I am with my instrument and hunger, aiming where the maps don't dare to go. I'm not the fastest, not the strongest, not the younger, but I see something shimmering in the undertow. Maybe genius isn't just for a chosen few. Maybe it's the willingness to trust the unseen, aim to fire at the target only you can view, and let the world discover what you came to claim. Talent hits the target in the light. Genius sees a different kind of sight. The crowd can't see the arrow or the mark. Genius shoots its arrows in the dark. Hits the target no one else can see. A bullseye in the space of what will be. Different frequency, different song. Genius hits the target all along. mountain stands with an iron chest, putting the thunder to a heavy test. It doesn't move, it doesn't sway, watching the centuries crumble away. But the wind is a ghost with a velvet hand, carving the stone in the desert sand. The hammer breaks on the stubborn floor, but the whisper finds the open door. It's a quiet vibration, a shift in the soul, between the jagged edge and the perfect whole. We think that power is a closed fist fight, but the moon moves the ocean in the middle of the night. The soft overcomes the hard, baby, don't you see? In this lo-fi rhythm, in this jazz funk degree, the gentle overcomes the rigid every single time, like a river finding rhythm in a soulful kind of rhyme. Yeah, the power of the yielding, the grace of the flow, that's the only way a spirit's gonna grow. Branch is stiff and proud, shouting its strength to the heavy cloud. But the first ice storm makes it snap and fall, while the willow bends and survives it all. It ain't about muscle, it ain't about bone, it's the fluid heart on a golden throne. Flexibility is the mark of the wise, the light that's hidden in a dancer's eyes. You know, we spend so much time trying to be tough, building walls, locking gears, standing our ground. But a wall just waits to be broken. Water? You can't break water. It moves around the obstacle. It fills the empty spaces. It wins because it doesn't fight. It wins because it's patient. Be the water, baby. The groove is in the bend. Just fade away. Stay supple, baby. Let it roll. The soft overcomes the hard. Always.
to a heavy test. It doesn't move, it doesn't sway, watching the centuries crumble away. But the wind is a ghost with a velvet hand, carving the stone and the desert sand. The hammer breaks on the stubborn floor, but the whisper finds the open door. It's a quiet vibration, a shift in the soul, between the jagged edge and the perfect whole. We think that power is a closed fist fight, but the moon moves the ocean in the middle of the night. The soft overcomes the hard, baby, don't you see? And there's a lo-fi rhythm in this jazz funk degree. The gentle overcomes the rigid every single time, like a river finding rhythm in a soulful kind of rhyme. And there's a lo-fi space, we find the sway, watching the rigid things just fade away. Stay supple, baby, let it roll. The soft overcomes the hard, always. We're dancing on the edge of a razor blade, drinking the sun before the shadows fade. A rush of gold in a velvet night, too much honey, too much light. We're chasing the lightning, chasing the spark, igniting a fire in the middle of the dark. It's a fever dream on a smoky street, where the rhythm is fast and the air is sweet. But the fuse is short and the heat is high, a brilliant flash across the midnight sky. The pulse of the city is a ticking drum, waiting for the heavy crash to come. These violent delights have violent ends, baby, in this lo-fi groove, where the logic bends, honey. A flash of glory, then a sudden cold, a story that's over before it's told. Yeah, the higher the flight, the harder the fall. That's the bitter rhythm of it all. Violent delights, they always have ends. Like a trumpet blast in a quiet room, a beautiful spark that seals the doom. We want the world and we want it now, but the earth won't wait for a final bow. It's a short circuit in the galaxy's wire, trading the soul for a moment of fire. The sweetness turns to a jagged stone, leaving you standing in the rain alone. You know, fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume. It's a beautiful explosion, isn't it? But you can't burn the world at both ends and expect to wake up to a quiet morning. The intensity, it's a debt, and the universe always comes to collect. Watch the flame. These violent delights have violent ends, baby, in this lo-fi groove, story that's over before it's told. In this lo-fi space we feel the sting of the heavy price that the passions bring. Let the embers glow, baby. Let it roll. Violent delights, violent ends, just a puff of smoke.
Roll skates through a midnight room. No drama, just the resonance of now. The slow funk groove dissipates the gloom. Peace is not the silence. Let me show you how. They said peace is what you find when battles cease, when the guns go quiet and the flags come down, but the streets go silent, yet the turmoil doesn't release. There's a war inside that makes no sound. I've chased that empty kind of peace before, the peace of running, hiding, turning away. But silence isn't stillness, and the absence of a war is not the same as choosing peace each day. Peace is not the absence, it's a state of mind, a virtue you must practice, not a thing to find. Not what happens when the noise decides to stop, but what remains when you refuse to drop. It's a discipline, a muscle, it's a daily art. Peace is not an ending, it's a beating heart, a virtue in the motion, in the eye of the storm. Peace is what you build when you choose the warm. The bass line holds its center in the swirling night, not because the world outside has calmed, but because the groove commits to its own light. Steady rhythm keeping pace unalarmed. Spinoza ground his lenses in the quiet room, excommunicated calm, still reasoning. He found that virtue grows inside the bloom of minds that choose their own deep seasoning. Peace is not the absence, it's a state of mind, a virtue you must practice, not a thing to find. Now what happens when the noise decides to stop, but what remains when you refuse to drop? It's a discipline, a muscle, it's a daily art. Peace is not an ending, it's a beating heart, a virtue in the motion, in the eye of the storm. Peace is what you build when you choose the warm. The saxophonist breathes in the tension of the night and breathes out something steady, calm and right. Not because the world outside became serene, but because the music holds a space
between the chaos and the yearning soul. Peace is the decision to be whole.